A spectre is haunting the world. The livelihoods of nearly 1 billion people could be at risk. Worldwide, farmlands nearly the size of the United States could turn into a dust bowl. Desertification is on the march. Countries are consuming too much water. The land is being overburdened by too many people, too much livestock, and too many harvests. 2006 is the UN's International Year of Desertification. The front line in our series is the advancing desert. But what about those who live behind the front line, the people who live in the desert itself? The deserts of our world are home to millions of people. They move their settlements with their livestock and with seasonal rainfall. Their strategy to cope in an arid land is to move to where there is pasture and water. But very few these days live a completely nomadic existence, with all their worldly goods carried by a donkey or camel. This is the true desert, where rainfall does not go over 25 centimeters in a year. We are going on a journey with Ali Sbai across southern Morocco. Ali is a physicist and a manager with the International Telecommunications Union in Geneva. He is the unlikeliest of UN bureaucrats, because he was born in a nomad's tent in the Sahara to unlettered parents who are now both dead. But out here, somewhere in this expanse of rock and sand, in the borderland with Algeria and Mauritania, is his 80-year-old uncle, living a lifestyle perfectly adapted to this harshest of environments. Ali Sbai wants to find him, in maybe the last chance he has to see his uncle again.
Je suis né derrière ces dunes.
I was born behind these dunes in a place called El Feteg, near Lake Iriki, which unfortunately is now dry. My nomadic family was formed from 3 ethnic groups, 2 on my mother's side, El Gwassem and Rigaybat, and Sbai on my father's side. My main reason for coming back to the desert is to rediscover my roots. It was here that I was born and looked after the goats. I possibly learnt more here than I did at school. Finding one's roots is also a way of rediscovering the essential. It brings back wonderful memories and gives me the chance to share good times with the people who taught me so many things.
Hussein is Ali's childhood friend. It's as if they live in parallel worlds. Unlike Ali, Hussein never went to school. The desert is his entire world, and his daily ritual starts with rounding up his camels that have wandered free at night to forage for sparse vegetation. Hussein has never felt the urge to leave his world. He is a master at surviving in a landscape where 99% of humanity would perish. Whenever Ali returns to the Sahara, he always sets out to find Hussein, who lives with his camels near the Mohammed oasis. For Ali Sbai, Hussein is more than just a close friend. He is the indispensable guide who will help him find his uncle in the Sahara. Depending on your point of view, deserts are either a gift or a curse of nature. They advance and retreat with rainfall. We know from cave paintings that as recently as 5,000 years ago, this was a well-watered savanna landscape. But as the climate dried out, the woodland and grassland became desert. The change was gradual enough for man to adapt, and to store and pass on the knowledge of how to make a living here.
This plant is called spot. It grows only in sand because sand stores moisture at night. So this plant feeds mostly at night. What is so amazing in the desert is that each terrain has its own plants, and this one grows in the sand. The camels love it because it also provides them with some water, so with this plant they can eat and drink at the same time. For me, this plant symbolizes the miracle of life in the desert.
The Sahara covers 4.6 million square kilometers and accounts for a tenth of the land surface of Africa. Before the development of sea and air trade routes, all goods had to cross the Sahara. The merchants and their camel caravans have always known how to find water and food for themselves and their animals in this hostile environment. The caravans have all but vanished, and with them their survival knowledge. The remaining nomads have preserved that knowledge. Here, every plant is valued for its special properties.
This is rocket from the desert, which grows in this region. The nomads call it the spicy, because it really is very spicy. It's very juicy too.
It's a very useful plant, and it's picked when it has grown high. It is then cut up, moistened, and left to dry. It's cooked with soup, couscous, and sometimes rice. In general, it can be cooked with lots of different foods.
Ali Sabai's parents are no longer alive, but one of his uncles is still alive, and Ali and Hussein are hot on his trail. But he's an elusive quarry, moving across a vast triangle of desert shared by Algeria, Morocco and Mauritania. Ali gets lucky. He hears from a nomad that his uncle was spotted heading south into Mauritania. He is a mere 3 days' walk ahead of Ali and Hussein. En route, Ali comes across a grove of the local acacia, for the nomad, a highly valued multi-purpose tree.
This is an acacia from the region, reputed to have medicinal qualities. For this reason it is sacred, and the nomads never cut this tree. The camels can eat the leaves, and sometimes the nomads use the resin, which is excellent. They put it in their tea and call the drink elk. They sometimes use the bark of the tree to clean their teeth. This is an absolute sacrilege. This tree has just been cut. Unfortunately, this is something that occurs more and more frequently. It was probably cut by the tourist caravans which came through here. They don't know the desert, and as they need wood every evening for their fire to cook and keep themselves warm, they cut down the nearest tree. This shows an absolute ignorance of this environment and the fragility of the plants which grow in the desert. They can cope with the harsh nature of the region, but not with human stupidity. The golden rule of the nomads is to never cut a living tree to make a fire. This rule is sacred and shows respect for life. By cutting this acacia, they have massacred desert life. They've killed part of what is essential in the desert, for man as well as the animals.